What's up, everyone? Welcome to Benched. My name's Joey, joined, of course, by my co-host and brother, Angel. What's up, big dog?
What's up? Hello.
Little different show today. I'm on the road in San Diego. I know there's so much going on in the NFL right now, and we're going to wait until the whole crew's together on Wednesday's show to talk about it all. On today's show, we're giving you a little special hitter, a little fantasy winners and losers, because the week was wild, and there's certainly fantasy implications in every single move. Well, not every move, but most of these big moves. And it's a different fantasy world today.
Look, that's the first thing second thing I think about is the real life impact.
That's so true.
And I think of my fantasy team and my dynasty team. How does this affect me, and how can I make this into a winning move so I can win a championship? I mean, we're all guys, and we all play fantasy football. We all know the struggles of free agency, how you have a guy, Tajay Spears, and you think he's going to be the guy, and then a guy signs, Tony Pollard, and then you realize that stock is worth shit. And then you have to throw it away and start over.
These are the real life situations that fantasy football players are facing because we are two of those guys. Please forgive the room I'm in. I know it's not super professional looking, but
that is some hotel art in the back.
Unfortunately, it's not a hotel. Don't tell my mother-in-law that. But anyway, we're gonna do winners and losers each. There's obviously so much that's honestly hard not to talk about the news. We'll obviously have to touch on a couple of those things, just explaining our winners and losers. But I promise you, Wednesday's show, do not miss it. Make sure you are ready to go. We're gonna have the whole team. I think maybe except AJ, but Terrell and Gabe in the house, covering all the happenings, the big ones over the weekend, free agency fallout. Last week we kind of just were spent kind of just reporting it and kind of quick taking it. But next week we're gonna be able to dive into some of the bigger moves. The implications, the conversations are happening. Not to mention a pretty massive trade that happened over the weekend.
There's one, I don't want to say his name or the trades. If we do, we'll be talking about it for the next hour.
Exactly. So let's just get into it here. These are fantasy winners and losers. Before I do that, if you're watching here on YouTube, welcome to the show.
Hi.
If you're new here to YouTube, we usually are in the set, Studio 604, with the whole team and the crew and the stuff on the wall and all the fun. But we're
click an old video. Check us out. Wait, down here, right? It'd be down there. Yeah. Click below.
And then subscribe while you're at it. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe. The video. We
so many things to do.
Yep, 3 shows a week. No matter what, talking football, talking fantasy, talking life. Angel really shared a lot of life nuggets heading up to big number 3-0 or 2-9.
Now I'm. Oh, you can say 2-9. Actually, no. I'm good with 3-0. I've accepted it.
You're there.
I've gotten used to saying I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing. But now it's the same. It's just living in it. 30 years old. It's cool.
By the time you get Wednesday's
saying 30 years old.
Yeah. Sorry. By the time you get Wednesday's episode, your boy will be the big 3-5. So.
Yeah, 3-5. That's
30-35 on the 19th tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tuesday. So anyway, a lot going on. We do 3 shows a week, no matter what. Us two, joined by the guys at the producers table and Terrell Thoroughgood, T Sizzle, as I like to call him, the whole team. So make sure you check us out there. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts, we're on most of those platforms. Thanks so much for joining us. The audio version of Benched, and please leave a review, share it with a buddy, and then of course follow us on all socials: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. On TikTok, we got some great videos going up, some green screen like reaction things. On Instagram, we got some clips of the show. We got some just breaking news stuff, and on Twitter, we have some arguments.
That's what it's turned into. Like the other ones are productive and have value and have worth, and then they just end up on Twitter. It's just arguments. Just like
ends up just being a hot take.
Dak Prescott sucks. Yeah, like Dak Prescott is overrated. That's what it ends up being. That's all
I got into it. I mean, especially with this news, some of this reaction stuff. I got into it with a couple of guys who just, I mean, I'll save it for Wednesday's show, but make sure you follow us on all those platforms. They're all fun. They're all different. So make sure you follow all of them. And I think that's pretty much it. Episode 105 today. 105. So thanks for all you who joined us for the whole journey. For those of you who just jumped on at episode 100, welcome to the show.
What's up? What's
looking
going
forward
on?
To celebrating 500, 1,000 with you, all the different things. So anyway, let's get into these fantasy winners and losers here. Let's start with the losers, so we can finish on a positive note with the winners here.
Sure.
Why don't you get us started?
Okay, my first loser of free agency is wide receiver Jordan Addison. Last year, look, last year came on when Justin Jefferson was down. Phenomenal. Finished the season with 70 catches on 108 targets, 911 yards, and 10 touchdowns. But there's an obvious elephant in the room. There's obvious downgrade in the room. No Kirk Cousins, who has supported wideouts ever since he got there, namely Justin Jefferson. My worry is that with Sam Darnold now at quarterback, Justin Jefferson's going to get all the 1A targets. When Hockenson comes back, we'll get the 1B, then whatever's left over. So you're asking Sam Darnold to support 3 fantasy relevant pass catchers.
Yeah,
I think he could barely support 1 because he's Sam Darnold, unless they do something in like this year's draft. But as of this point, he's a loser in fantasy because his value won't retain to next year if everything stays the same as it is right now. Sam Darnold kills the entire sexiness of the Vikings fantasy. I was about to put JD Jefferson, Justin Jefferson, but I wouldn't dare ever say that. So I put the other guy, Jordan Addison.
Okay, a couple of things. I'm pretty interested in seeing what the combination of Darnold and O'Connell could do. Not obviously with proper expectations of he's still Sam Darnold. But Kevin O'Connell did it with, listen, Josh Dobbs is not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And everyone else there that they had there last year is even worse. And O'Connell made it work at times with those guys. I think Darnold is a more gifted quarterback as far as like physically gifted. I think between the years, sometimes he's had a hard time figuring it out so far in his time here in the league. So I think he's going to be a decent bridge quarterback. And bridge is the key word there because their value to me is all going to fall on if they do anything else at quarterback, namely in the draft. Because they made that move over the weekend to pick up that second first-round pick. They now have number 11 and number 23. That is some good ammunition to possibly move up, to possibly grab Jaden Daniels, who's falling, if McCarthy's fallen. What are these quarterbacks that maybe they're excited about? I trust a young quarterback in the hands of Kevin O'Connell. God, I trust that. And so that's my only hope. But yeah, if it stands like it is right now, and Donald's your guy all year long, Addison is a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, he finished wide receiver 28 last year with those guys, with Kirk and then with Dobbs. So that's a nice, floor. But it's just different when you don't have Kirk Cousins there just slinging the ball 40 times with, Yeah, it's just that. But yeah, if they were able to move up in the draft and get a quarterback, I would still have hesitation because then you're asking a rookie quarterback to support Justin Jefferson and Hockenson and then Addison. Right. It's probably in that order too because all you got to do is follow the money. They paid Hockenson. They're about to pay Justin Jefferson. Then you have Addison. So that's what my worry
sure
would,
what their
would
plan
be
is,
there.
They also let go Alexander Mattison. I don't know what their plan is at running back. I don't know if they just plan on throwing the ball a bunch. They're probably going to be down a bunch because they lost a couple of defenders. I don't know what to expect from this team as far as what they might just be a total tank job and just be going for Shedeur Sanders or someone next year.
We'll talk about that.
But sometimes that's a good situation fantasy wise. So we'll see. I know the bigger conversation that's going to take place over here in the next couple months heading up to all of our fantasy drafts is where do you draft Justin Jefferson? Because someone who's been top 3 at worst in all the drafts for the last 2-3 years, where do you take him now? I've heard people so far say I'm taking him first receiver no matter what. He's Justin Jefferson still. I've also heard people say he might not. He's at the back end of the first round, beginning of the second round. So that's going to be the conversation. Who is the new wide receiver 1? Who's the guy? Is it Tyreek?
Look at you. You couldn't help talking about Justin Jefferson. This is a Jordan Addison topic. You're like, I'm a freaking Justin Jefferson.
Listen, but so it's a bigger conversation. It is. I do want to touch on it real quick, mostly for the algorithm. Put Justin Jefferson his name in there. Let me give you my first loser, and this is one hurts because I'm a huge Justin Fields guy. Justin Fields, I think, was a loser over the weekend. He gets traded for a conditional 6th round or 4th round pick, however you want to look at it, to the Steelers. I think if Russell Wilson hadn't been there, this is a huge win. But with Russell Wilson there and them reportedly promising him the starting job, I think it's a huge loss because Tomlin and the Steelers don't just say things to spin it for media. if they're telling you something emphatically, they mean it. Last year they said they're sticking with Kenny Pickett as long as they did, and they stuck with him. Then they said they moved him to Mason Rudolph, and guess what? They didn't go back to Kenny Pickett. They do what they say they're going to do, and I think because they've already promised Russ this job in a redraft, Fields is almost undraftable because he literally might be on the bench all year. I think at the very best, if Russ is playing terrible football, he's still going to get at least 12 weeks. Like he's still going to get more than half of the season because that's just what we've seen these Steelers teams do. Like especially when Tomlin's in charge, he doesn't make quick reaction decisions. He sticks with his guys. They have a veteran quarterback there who obviously the new OC Arthur Smith likes, Tomlin likes, and I think he's going to get at least 12 weeks to be the guy there. Also, and I hate to say this because I have Fields on my main dynasty league, and I'll have him on different teams. There's a very real path here to Fields not playing this year and being a free agent again next offseason, and then getting to his fourth team, his fourth coaching staff in 4 years. So there's a real path to Fields kind of slipping away here. It depends whether or not they're going to give him a real shot at this job. But I mean, how do you see Fields this year?
Well, he went from possible top 5 quarterback last year to maybe undraftable this year, based on the opinions of GMs who don't like it. I don't understand the Fields hate, but GM just chose this year, we're not going to pay for Justin Fields, and that was shown in the draft pick. But fantasy wise, Fields was a lightning rod at your quarterback 1.
Yeah,
and he was a guy you could have gotten late in this year's draft if you would have went there, and he would have the hype for the Burrows and the Strouds would have been up, so he would have fallen naturally. But now he's pretty much undraftable in one quarterback leagues because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So in obviously, redraft. Yeah, in a redraft, he took a big L this weekend with that trade because you don't know if he'll even start, and you don't want to waste a roster spot, have injuries happen, and then you're still killing a roster spot with this guy who might get the job, maybe in week 12, maybe. But Russell Wilson, if he puts up decent stats, they're not going to bench him.
That's exactly what I'm saying. If Russell Wilson is just okay, he's going to keep the job probably all year.
Exactly.
If he just doesn't throw interceptions, but I mean, I don't know, it's going to be so interesting to see because Justin Fields, it's wild to even put him in the loser category because he could literally be one of the biggest winners as well. The range of outcomes for Justin Fields this year, like it feels like every year, because just no one wants to commit to him, is just he could be a total bust, waste of a pick for you, or if you could maybe stash him and get him at the end, toward the end, and he does get that starting job, he will produce.
Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to watch. I have my prediction for him: a dynasty stash for sure. Dynasty long term wise, still believe in him. Still think eventually he's going to get a job. But dynasty stash, redraft, nightmare.
Yeah. My next loser for this weekend is running back Rhamondre Stevenson. Finished running back 38 last year, but that's only because he was only healthy for 13 weeks. In the 13 weeks that he was healthy, he was a top 20 running back 7 times. 7 out of 13 times, he was an RB2 for you.
Love Rhamondre.
My worry is that they brought in Antonio Gibson, which in the last 2 years ranks 9th amongst RB catches.
Yeah.
So and Stevens' whole appeal was that he's a workhorse. Okay, he gets all the catches and he gets all the runs. This year they brought in a known pass catcher.
Yeah.
To take that role. So now you're hoping that this running back, who's on, as of right now, a bottom 5 offense in the league, hopes that he gets the touchdown production on the ground rather than the passing game. I'm out on that kind of running back. Even last year, Gus Edwards, 13 touchdowns, still finished outside the top 35 running backs. Those guys who don't get a lot of yards, only touchdowns, you have to be lucky with them. Stevens' pass catching PPR appeal just got cut in half with Antonio Gibson. I'm out this year. He's more of a flex option now, bye-week guy. I know Antonio Gibson doesn't really scare a lot of people, but in the pass catching realm of running backs, he should very much scare you. He's a perfect running back drainer. Yeah, he just kills the value of every running back that he's behind.
It's funny. Antonio Gibson has kind of turned into the guy who was originally draining Antonio Gibson, and that's J.D. McKissic.
Yeah.
When J.D. McKissic first came on, he kind of drained the value of Antonio Gibson because he was such a proficient pass catcher. Now that Antonio Gibson has turned into that guy, and he's such a proficient pass catcher, and really, I think one of the more underrated running backs in the league. I think people don't like him because he came in with so much hype, the Christian McCaffrey comparison, stuff like that. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think he's a slightly, or not in a slightly, but I think he's a worse version of Rhamondre Stevenson, and he could do everything Rhamondre can do. And they're going to use him. They're going to cycle him in. I don't believe in this offense to consistently move the ball. I don't believe there's going to be a lot of goal line touches. And I think what there is going to be, they're going to split them. And yeah, I think Rhamondre's a tough sell for me this year. Loser, I think that's a little strong for me, but I'm not hating it, man. I'm not drafting him.
I mean, he was a classic RB2 last year.
Yeah.
But take away the pass catches, he's runs right into RB3, which is flex option. He'll fall in the draft. Maybe you get lucky and not lucky. Maybe you get him and injuries happen where he's able to retain that workhorse back. But as of right now, pre-draft, post free agency, his value's already taken one hit. New coaching staff might bring in another running back because he is on his final year of his rookie deal. So, it's all adding up to just negatives on the draft stock for running back Rhamondre Stevenson.
What a bummer too, because I feel like the last 3 years or so, if he was in the right place, he could be a top.
We've been wanting, we as a community of fantasy players have been wanting him to be the guy, and it's because of injury, because of whoever, Damian Harris or whatever. He hasn't really seen that jump, and right when he was going to do it last year, he gets hurt. Last half of the year, he's out. This is a real bummer.
My next loser, as far as fantasy wise, is the great one, Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce, it's begun now. I think so many things about Travis Kelce. I think last year in the playoffs, he was so lights out. He was so good. He was vintage Travis Kelce. The Chiefs are hell bent on winning that third in a row championship. That's their goal. That's all you hear from them if they give an interview. Anyone on that team, that's what they're talking about. So they know if we're gonna win another championship, we need that Travis Kelce in the playoffs next year. And that Travis Kelce will not be there if they're using him like the old Travis Kelce all year. I think we're gonna see a major pullback this year from usage for Travis Kelce. Immediately they sign a tight end, Irv Smith, who's a known route runner, pass catcher guy.
Wow.
You don't think so?
No.
No,
I'm just saying him and Noah Gray.
Who you brought up, very good as well. Those two guys are going to be so involved in the offense. They, of course, go out and sign Marquise Brown, who I think is going to be a big deal in this offense. Rashee Rice is just going to get better, just going to soak up more targets, going to control. I think the control of those mid over the middle targets is going to shift now to Rashee Rice rather than consistently being Travis Kelce. And I think we're going to see now the beginning of them pulling back of a reliance on Travis Kelce in this offense and kind of spread it out to a couple of weapons that I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be more willing to trust. And in Marquise Brown, a Rashee Rice. We'll see what they do in the running back position. Pacheco started catching a lot of balls last year. We didn't know that was in his repertoire. And I think Kelce is going to be 35 in October, getting up there. We did see it first time in his career, a real drop-off last year. He struggled to stay consistent. He struggled to stay healthy. I don't think the Chiefs are going to drag him through again just like that. This last year, they needed him so bad because they had nothing else. But I think this year, it's all going to be about getting Travis Kelce healthy to the playoffs so he can make another run like that. And that's what I think is going to hurt his fantasy stock during the year.
Yeah, Travis Kelce was already taking a step back last year fantasy-wise. You kind of saw that was week to week. And now, was 13th year in league, 12th year in league. You can't expect him to maintain that production, even though he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest tight end of all time. Yeah, I'm on board. And the tight end landscape is just so volatile and so up and down that you want to trust that Travis Kelce, but then you're also like, let me not be overbearing here and then overshoot it and overdraft, because then you're gonna be stuck with an aging tight end who might get less targets with less production, obviously.
Yeah. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up is the tight end landscape. Just with last year's draft, has shifted so much. I want you to give me a yes or no if you would have Travis Kelce over this player. Ready?
Okay.
Sam Laporta.
It's so blasphemous to say this. I'll take Laporta.
Mark Andrews.
I take Kelce.
Okay, Trey McBride.
He was good last year. No, it's gonna be Laporta or Kelce for me at the top two.
Really?
I
Okay.
love Laporta. Laporta did everything that he wasn't supposed to, and he balled out last year. Tight end 3, I think, or 2, I think.
My prediction for Travis Kelce is going to be a low end tight end 1, and
so top 5.
No, low end. So in that bottom, if you're in a 12-team league, 5 to 12 or 10, whatever your league is, I think that's where he's going to be. He definitely has potential. If I'm totally wrong and they're still funneling targets to him to finish in that mid to high end tight end range. But I think just usage alone, he's a low end tight end 1 because of the rise of so many good young tight ends. I think I've got David Njoku breaking on the scene last year, Kincaid, Laporta, Mayer is going to have, I think, a step up this year.
You bracketing Njoku as a young tight end, he feels young.
No. Him like breaking out last year. That's
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think Kelce was a loser just because of circumstance and because it's all about a chip next year.
Yeah. My next loser, speaking of tight ends, my next loser is tight end Cole Kmet from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
What happened to Cole Kmet was if you were following along for his entire career, it was a slow cook. Year 1, okay. Year 2, better. Year 3. Finished last year tight end 8, had 9 top 10 finishes. So he was kind of becoming a solid tight end. And you were thinking the ascension of this offense and Justin Fields, he would rise up. Then they got rid of Justin Fields, his best friend.
Yeah.
Then they got Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett. Also with pass catching option, DeAndre Swift. So what you're seeing now is a lot more options. DJ Moore and Cole Kmet really ate because they were the only 2 good things on that whole offense was those 2 good things. Now you add in a rookie quarterback who for all he is, we don't know what he is yet. We don't know if he likes tight ends. We don't know if he likes wideouts. We don't know whatever. Right. Then you add Keenan Allen, who kind of operates in the same realm in that over-the-middle, pass-catching, kind of, non-perimeter pass-catching.
And if I can, he's, even at this age, better at it.
Yeah, he's still better. Yeah, because he's Keenan Allen. Yeah, so I had hype for Cole Kmet just because he was in the tight end line. We're just talking about it. He was a solid choice.
Yeah,
he would have the up weeks, but his floor was about 8 points, which is what you want if you're not picking the Laportas, Andrews, Travis Kelce's. But he took a big L this weekend with all the signings and with the quarterback change, a bunch of unknowns. We don't even know if this offense can support more than 2 options with a rookie quarterback, let alone a tight end who also has another tight end, Gerald Everett, who's not bad, who's a pass-catching option himself, who's not really there for run blocking. He's there to catch the ball. For that reason, hey Sharks, I'm out. I'm out on Cole Kmet. I wish I wasn't because he's in my dynasty league, but it is what it is.
I like Cole Kmet so much as a football player. I love the classic tight ends who can still block, who can still put him in line, but also is a very capable pass catcher and is kind of these giant men who are just weirdly smooth athletically. That's Cole Kmet. And I think you're totally right. I think he's been taking advantage of a lack of weapons there. And of course, that's not going to be the case next year with Keenan Allen in town, DJ Moore. I've been racking my mind trying to think who's going to be the big dog in this offense. Is it going to be DJ Moore or is it going to be Keenan Allen? I don't know. I think that'll be whatever Caleb Williams wants it to be. And I think bringing up DeAndre Swift is very relevant because DeAndre Swift, before he only caught like 40 or between 30 or 40 balls for the Eagles last year because Jalen Hurts just doesn't throw to running backs. But before that, a proficient pass catcher with the Lions. And he'll definitely, with a young quarterback, soak up some of those targets as well.
And he'll be schemed in for touches because 1, they paid him, so they probably want to use him. And 2, he's going to be in the area where tight ends kind of operate.
So
like close to line of scrimmage. So
let me ask you this questions for the people here. Are you drafting Cole Kmet?
In a 1 tight end league?
Yeah.
Probably not. To be honest, borderline. He's a low end tight end too.
Okay.
So tight end too. I guess.
My other question is he a streaming option?
Yeah, I think at this point he's a streamer. Okay. He's kind of play matchups. It's just a lot of what.
He just can't break free from that streaming option group.
No. In last year, finished tight end 8, kind of found a nice spot and was could have produced more if he was given the option. But the Bears added more weapons. That's not a fault to the Bears. This is what teams are supposed to do. But because of that, less targets to like go around. Kid Williams could come out and just change it all. But there's too many question marks for me to draft him high with confidence.
Yeah, I think last year we have to remember CJ Stroud was an unusual rookie quarterback. In fact, the most unusual. Like he was literally the best of all time.
Between him and Cam Newton, those two only come on so often.
And so I don't think fantasy football players should be banking on, well, Caleb Williams, I hear, is a generational talent. Caleb Williams, I hear, is, the best quarterback to come out of college since Andrew Luck or whatever name you want to throw in there. I think you should, like you're kind of doing here, proceed with caution with a rookie quarterback, no matter what his name is. Because a rookie quarterback to get that low on the target chart and still support his 4th target is just so rare. That's not going to happen. Like I think you're still safe with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't go any farther than that. And even those guys, I think, take a step back until we see Caleb Williams do it.
Exactly.
Let's take a quick break. Those are our losers. We're going to finish the show on a high note here with some wins.
Yes. A lot of negativity. There's some good guys that good things happened. I want to get on that really fast.
God. Raise your hand if you love fantasy football.
Oh, God. I love it so much. And I just miss it. Sundays are just like barren. I go on my sleeper app and just like, man, I can't wait for this to be booted up again.
We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We just covered our losers for fantasy football as far as the outcome from last week's free agency. Just madhouse.
Massacre.
Massacre. The running back landscape, completely different. Some of those guys affected our losers. Now let's talk about the winners. I'll get us started. My winner is the one I'm most excited to talk about. The new running back for my Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. Saquon Barkley, baby. So excited he's an Eagle. Still like wrapping my head around that. But anyway,
please get to I want to hear
it. Fantasy-wise for Saquon Barkley, listen, is he rookie Saquon anymore? No. He's not that guy anymore. I do think he's slowed down just a little bit, but I still think talent-wise, he's one of the best in the league. The biggest difference for him is going to be this offensive line. I know the Eagles are losing Jason Kelce. I think still they're solid across the board. They need to fill the guard spot. They already have the center in waiting, who's played really well every time he's had to play center. I think the Eagles' offensive line has a certain standard they're going to hold. And as far as the difference between what he got last year and what he's going to get this year, last year Saquon was getting hit in the backfield on 23% of the running plays. Almost a quarter of his handoffs, he was getting hit in the backfield. That was second worst in the NFL. The Eagles last year were only hitting the backfield 14% of the time. That was second best in the NFL. So he's literally going to jump from the very back to almost the very front in just not getting hit in the backfield. Like just immediately starting from a negative, immediately starting uphill, trying to make guys miss in the backfield. That's before you can even see a hole develop, before you can see a play develop. You're just trying to work through these things, and he won't have to do that as much in Philly. And I think that's going to be huge for him, because if you can get someone like Saquon just reading and reacting to these holes that I think are going to be there in Philly, I think he's going to be, the running back he's always been. Saquon last year averaged 6.6 yards per carry. 6.6 yards per carry when he saw at least 1 yard before contact. If you can at least give him one step beyond the line of scrimmage, just give him a little hole, his average per carry was 6.6 yards. That is massive. Like that's ranked 10th in the league. That is fantastic. Barkley finished ninth in fantasy points last year among running backs, and that is with a terrible offense. The coaching is in shambles. The quarterback, just all we know the quarterback situation in the Giants, and just a being a running back in a team that's constantly losing by a lot of points is, as far as game script goes, about as bad as he can get. And he still finished ninth. I think a big year is coming for Saquon. Listen, don't hate me. All right. I see some top 5 potential here, and I see some threatening for number 1 potential here.
Yeah, my wonder is if he goes to the level of CMC when he went to the 49ers, where he goes to a place where he's not the only guy, he's not the only weapon, where he can kind of fit into a role. Saquon on the Eagles is terrifying, both in real life and in fantasy. In fantasy, though, I feel like with all the running backs, with CMC having a good year, and with the he might be a sleeper, to be honest. So there's going to be a group of people who won't believe in Saquon Barkley anymore because of the age, because Jalen Hurts might take away his running ability in the red zone. There's going to be a group of people, and you hope those people are in your draft. That means you can get a Saquon Barkley in the second round, when it should be in the first round. I'm curious to see when draft season opens, his ADP on where he goes, on if on if he can jump a younger running back like a Breece Hall, or one of those kind of guys. Jamar Gibbs might see a little bit bump in ADP. I wonder if he can beat the young guys out, or best case scenario for everybody is he falls to the second round. You're able to pick a stud in the first round, and then Saquon in the second round, who might have weeks where he's comparable to the CMC of last year. It's freaking exciting in fantasy. And the one thing that would scare me is that Jalen Hurts doesn't throw a lot to his running backs. But I think if he gets a minimum 40 catches, I think he'd be just fine. Average. Well, I think he'll live around the 3 to 7 range of running backs this year.
So Fantasy Pros has his ADP projected at overall 16. So that's end of early second round.
Yeah, second round.
But their best or worst case scenario, their range of outcomes is as high as number 8 and as low as number 27. So I think they're kind of confused too about what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be who believes in him and how confident you are, and whatever draft you're in your home leagues, in your work leagues, whatever you are. Is there a guy who just believes that Saquon can return to what he once was, his rookie year? That was superstar fantasy football, number 1 overall pick.
So here's what I think about Saquon.
Better offense. I'll take the bet.
Yes. That's another point too. There's going to be so many more red zone opportunities for Saquon, just because Eagles are going to score more points than the Giants did. As far as the red zone carries, the tush push is obviously a big deal for the Eagles. And maybe I think people know this, but Jason Kelce was the linchpin, like the key cornerstone of that tush push. Like, it was all about what Jason Kelce could do athletically and from a strength standpoint. And I don't know, I want to see it still if it's as effective. I think it should be same O-line coach and most 4 of the 5 guys will return from last year. But I do think it's something to look at. Second thing is the passing game. I think that is a thing. I don't think Saquon will get as many catches as some of the best in the league, but new coordinator Kellen Moore definitely threw it to Eckler, definitely threw it to Pollard when he was in Dallas. I think there will be designed passing concepts for Saquon Barkley. I think they will funnel targets toward him, and that's my third point. Howie Roseman just paid $37 million for a running back. The last time he made a big investment like this on a skill position player was a man named A.J. Brown, and they made sure that following season that A.J. Brown was earning that money. And I think the same with Saquon. I think they realize Saquon is 27. They have him for about maybe 2.5 years of prime-ish Saquon. I think they're going to get every bit of value out of Saquon Barkley as they can. And I think you might see a different looking Eagles offense this year where they will throw to him a little more and where he's going to get a ton of usage.
Yeah, that's kind of the theory of you follow the money. The
Right.
money's in the backfield now, so follow that. Yeah, I agree with you. looking forward to seeing his ADP and looking forward to seeing where he is in our draft, the Bench Warmers League draft. We'll see if he can fall to you, because I know you're going to want one of them. We have 2 Eagle fans in the league next year, the Bench Warmers League.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to be in the league, email us, DM us, whatever. We'd love to get some early admissions as to why you should be in the league. But that's a different point. I'll move on here to my first winner.
Yes. Good.
Do you want one last point?
No.
I know this is your boy, and
it actually wasn't about Saquon. It was about the fantasy leagues. Also email us if you're interested in a dynasty.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you are dynasty players. It would be awesome to have a dynasty bench league. Let us know if you're interested. Shoot us an email as well. That's info@benchedshow.com. info@benchedshow.com. Go ahead with your next winner.
My winner is wide receiver Drake London. This guy's reminded me a lot of last year's hype for Garrett Wilson before the Aaron Rodgers injury. Has not ever finished over 1,000 yards, but we know his quarterbacks, Heineke, Ritter. We can kind of blame the lack of production fantasy-wise on those quarterbacks and on idiot former head coach
Arthur Smith.
Mr. Arthur Smith. R.I.P. Hope we never see him again. But he's with whatever. Last year, over 1,200 air yards, 69 catches, 905 yards, only 2 touchdowns. Still finished. What was it finished? I think top 40 wideout, but that's only because his touchdowns were just 2. Then enter Kirk Cousins, who has supported top 5, top 2, top 1 production wideouts. The scale, the worth that Kirk Cousins brings to any offense, fantasy wise, is wild, especially to talented wideout like Drake London, who we've seen the talent. We haven't seen a quarterback who can get it to him down the field and often and on target. He's going to be the sweetheart, sexy pick of this year's entire fantasy draft is Drake London, because his ADP is probably not going to be in the first 2 rounds. Someone's going to buy him early on the belief that Kirk Cousins is going to be the same quarterback. And even if he's not the same quarterback, even if he throws at least 30 touchdowns, I think he'll still be a top 20, top 10 even wideout. I'm not too scared of Mooney's targets or of Rondale Moore's. Kyle Pitts will operate in his own realm. So I'm really keyed in on Drake London seeing number 1 targets in an offense that's going to shift now to passing.
Drake London's only 22.
What's that look? You
Drake London's only 22.
Only 22 years old.
That is wild to me. I just learned that. I thought he'd at least be 24, a couple years in the league now. Still just 22.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Just, the level of the potential of this guy this year is you can literally have A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb in the 3rd round, 2nd round, if you really believe it. If he just gets the targets, I'm telling you, this is my buy, and this is going to be the sexy pick for obvious reasons. Kirk Cousins with him, like I said, not scared of Mooney, not scared of Rondale Moore. Kyle Pitts will get his targets, but tight ends, you don't target them as much. You target wideouts, obviously. Same with Travis Kelce. Drake London, obvious winner because of the quarterback upgrade. I mean, I can't be the only one who sees the potential in Drake London.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to have our first, not disagreement, because I also think Drake London gets a massive bump with Kirk Cousins, but I think he gets a massive bump with a healthy Kirk Cousins. And I know this has been my thing, and I'll say it every single time because I think especially fantasy players should be aware of this at least. Kirk Cousins is 35 years old coming off a torn Achilles. Like, we haven't seen a lot of those success stories. I think he'll be fine, and I think he'll be good. But as far as like we're gonna get the same Kirk Cousins that we've had in Minnesota, I don't know. Like I'm still a little iffy about that. That's my only hesitation with Drake London. I love him as a talent. 6'4", 215. He looks the part of a number 1 receiver. I think I'd bet good money that he is the target leader for this offense. My problem is he going to get the touchdowns to support that kind of level of receiver that you're talking about? Because those kind of receivers get the usage and they get the touchdowns. I don't know with Kyle Pitts, with Bijan Robinson now, is also gonna be the sexy pick to break on the scene. I don't know how many of those touchdowns are stolen by some of these other guys. I do think Darnell Mooney is going to be a bigger part of this offense than a lot of people think, just by the way they paid him. But that's my biggest thing with him reaching that level. That being said, he's getting a massive bump. He's at the very, very worst, a high-end wide receiver too. It's someone you want on your team. It's someone that if you're in a dynasty league, do not get rid of him. Do not sell on him unless someone's offering you one of those high-end receivers, a Jefferson, a Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of those guys. You hold them because now is the time where it's going to pay off. And that being said, that's the conservative view. The aggressive view is what you just said, that he now turns into that prospect that we all saw coming out of USC, where he is that top tier receiver. Kirk Cousins is healthy, and there definitely is a path to him being one of the best in the league. Still 22 years old, which is wild. What he looks like, how he plays, just 22 years old. Massive, massive. Fantasy Pros has his ADP projected at 62 overall. If you can get him at 62 overall, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reward weighs out the risk with him. Because even if Kirk Cousins doesn't return to what he once was, he gets just 30 touchdowns this year. You know, at least 10 of them are going to Drake London. That's just my estimate. I haven't done a lot of research on next year's on the passing coordinator because Zach Robinson moves from LA to Atlanta. I wonder if he would over target like he did with Cooper Kupp, like he did with Puka Nacua, if he falls into that role or not. We'll see, but I'm very excited.
Kirk Cousins can be the most important player in fantasy football next year. Because if Kirk Cousins is right, you now have a possible top 5 tight end, a possible top 10 receiver, and a possible top 5 running back, all now on the scene, who just were almost unusable last year. Now you have just 3 top tier guys thrown into the mix. Not to mention what this means for Kirk Cousins if he is healthy. Like, what is he as a quarterback? I mean, he was quarterback number 1 for the first couple of weeks of the season last year. And so, Kirk Cousins, the most important person in fantasy football this year because he can affect so much. You good on that?
Yeah.
My second winner of free agency as far as fantasy football is your boy Will Levis. Now, I want to temper these expectations. I am not saying Will Levis is a top end QB1. I'm saying for the conversation of guys who took massive jumps because of what happened last week in free agency, Will Levis took a massive jump from someone who wasn't even on the radar, especially in redraft, one quarterback leagues, even in dynasty leagues. He was beginning to fall off. I think next year, Will Levis, number 1, he's going to be the guy. Like that's who they're going to go with all year.
And they've said it too. They've publicly from day one said Will Levis is their guy.
Yep. They're in a rebuild. I think the offense is rebuilding so far much faster than they're rebuilding the defense. The defense is pretty much getting torn down to the stubs here. And again, getting rebuilt. On offense, though, they went and got Ridley. They went and got Hopkins. They went and got Pollard. They have Spears already last year, and they still have Chig Okonkwo as at the tight end there. I think that's a decent supporting cast. I think game script wise, they're going to be throwing the ball all year long. And Will Levis is going to be chucking it up and down the field. I think the interceptions will be there, but I think the touchdowns will be there. I think the attempts and the yardage will be there to support a low-end QB1. And I don't even want to project a higher finish than that because I don't believe in that. What I do like about him is his floor. I think his floor is going to be a top 15 quarterback. So even on his bad weeks, you're getting borderline starting quarterback numbers. You're getting somewhere from a 15 to a 20.
Yeah, I think in 2 quarterback leagues, he should definitely be on your radar.
For sure.
One, because he's a gunslinger, and they got him a guy who's been used last year as a down the field threat. Hopkins at this point of his career isn't what he used to be as far as downfield. Ridley can still do that.
Yeah.
Whether you believe it was Trevor Lawrence's fault or Ridley's fault, whatever. Either way, it didn't quite work out. But you saw the talent, you saw the speed was still there. I like what they did, and then Pollard and Spears built a profile as pass catching options out of the backfield with a new head coach there. I just think
not to mention, I still like Burks.
Burks in college was a slot wideout. Yeah. Now he goes back to his old role slot, and it's a nice spot for Levis to improve and for a coaching staff to coach a young guy who has talent but isn't really there. yet. You know, X's and O's wise. Yeah, I think he's worth a shot. He's probably not even drafted in most leagues, so you can literally wait till the end of the draft, take a flyer, and just say, if Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, I have a young guy, or if someone doesn't work, whatever, you have a nice fallback option with upside.
Yeah, maybe don't get involved in that rush on quarterbacks earlier in the draft or mid-draft. Yep. Kind of say, I'm going to wait and maybe target Will Levis and, pick another receiver, pick another running back. Or
for zero RB stuff, if you want to wait on him and try to pair him with another quarterback, I'm on board with this.
Also want to quickly mention they signed Cushenberry to play center there. So upgrade at center. Also that number, they have the number 8 pick. Yeah, number 8 pick. Word is
very deep.
They're going to target a tackle
group. Yeah.
They released Andre Dillard this last week. That was their tackle, kind of swing tackle last year. I think they'll replace them with one of these top picks. Don't think Joe Alt falls that much, but there's a couple good tackles, like you said, in that top 10. I think an improved O-line, weapons all around. Will Levis, I think safe quarterback one. What do you got?
Yeah, my next winner is I'm gonna be Captain Obvious here. Is running back Derrick Henry. One, because this is a match made in heaven. The team who leads the league in rushing nearly every year gets a true workhorse back who's led the league in rushing almost every year. It's just a match made in heaven. If he fits into the Gus Edwards role, and that's being totally blasphemous to say that Derrick Henry could fit into the role. Gus Edwards had 13 touchdowns last year.
Yeah,
on less than 800 yards. I think Derrick Henry comes in here, gets at least 13 touchdowns, and goes back to that thing where, and also it's a point where I want to see what defenses do. Whether you lock in on Derrick Henry or lock in on Lamar Jackson. It's almost the perfect pair of smash and dash of like heavy hitter running back with, in this scenario only, the fastest player on the field is your quarterback.
Yeah.
So between the rush first offense and Henry isn't a bad pass catcher. So you have the PPR value still there. I think them losing Gus Edwards and them losing J.K. Dobbins and Keaton Mitchell coming back from a major injury just tells me they're going to use this guy as much as they can for at least this year. Yeah. I think he returns now to his what used to be top 3, top 5, easy pick 'em, whatever. ADP might not say that, but you might get that value for him. I love this fit, the match made in heaven. No one was out of the limb saying that he should go to Baltimore. Everyone thought that this was going to happen. It happened, and the fantasy community will now be more thankful for Derrick Henry getting one more year of being King Henry with the Ravens. Slam dunk signing.
I love Derrick Henry to the Ravens as well. Number 1 rushing team. Everything you said back there. If they can get Keaton Mitchell back healthy, I think that only helps Derrick Henry. I think the days of Derrick Henry, like in Tennessee, getting 30 carries, pushing 200 yards, I think those days are over. But my prediction is, I think this guy gets 20 touchdowns next year. I really do. I think he's going to get every goal line carry. He's going to break a couple long ones. He still has that in his bag in the open field. He can break 20, 22 miles an hour. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to score a ton of touchdowns this year. I think the 100-yard games are going to be scarce, but I think the multi-touchdown games are going to be almost regular.
He ranks
constantly going to be in zone.
He ranked 9th in yards after contact 11th in yards after contact and 9th in explosive rate run, which means he still has a little bit of juice.
Still there.
But that Titans offense had the worst line in football last year, and he was still able to produce what he could with that offense, with the deficiencies at quarterback and wideout. Derrick Henry slam dunk.
Love it. I guess my last one here falls right in line with that, and that's Mr. Gus Edwards.
Gus Bus.
Listen, and it's just this could be totally ruined in the draft.
Yeah, this is interesting because I want to see it draft wise, but
it could be totally ruined in the draft. But if you look at what Harbaugh has done to that roster, he's taken away all the top end receiver talent. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, now gone. Their starting receivers at this point are James Palmer. Is that his name?
Yeah.
James Palmer.
James Palmer is the reporter for
what's his first name? Palmer.
Yeah, Palmer.
Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston.
Quinn Johnston, yeah. Oh my
Quinn
God.
Johnston and Josh Palmer, number 1 receiver or number 1 and 2 receivers there. However you want to put them, it doesn't matter because they're going to run the ball so much next year. And I think there's familiarity with Gus Edwards. They went and signed him right away. He's a big running back. They've gotten bigger at tight end. I think they're going to run the ball like crazy. They brought in Greg Roman, for crying out loud. They brought in Greg Roman,
who runs the ball a lot. Yeah.
who is the running ball offense guru. He said, imagine Justin Herbert had a great running game. Number one, disrespectful to Eckler, but I think what he meant is a classic Greg Roman power running football game.
Yeah.
And they went and got Gus Edwards. He's a career 4.9, 5 yards a carry guy, which is like, that's going to be top of the league every single year. The Ravens have faced the third most 8-man boxes while he was with them. And he should face less of that with Herbert. They're going to be less, these 8-9-man boxes. Edwards averages 5.6 yards per carry against 7-man or less boxes. I think if you start pressuring Herbert like that, Herbert will burn you. I think people are not going to be bold enough to put 8 and 9 men in the box. So I think Edwards will face less people up front, and I think he's going to get a ton of usage. This is a usage play. Harbaugh ran the ball on 45.9% of the plays when he was with the 49ers. That's the second most during that time. This man is known for saying, listen, give it to him again and again and again. And Edwards is going to run, 25 times a game.
Even if they sign a running back or draft running back in the draft, I think he still falls into that flex option, into the RB3 option, because he's still going to see production. They're still going to run the ball a lot. So you're right. Even if they draft, Blake Corum is probably the highest ranked running back on most draft boards. Even if they draft him, it still wouldn't scare me enough to where I wouldn't want to be a part of the Gus Edwards experience. He's still going to do phenomenal.
Yeah.
Goal lines are going to be all his, because Herbert hasn't really done that. And he's been hurt a lot. I don't think they want to risk their prize quarterback. I'm on board. Yeah. PPR wise,
I'd be concerned if they drafted. So. What's that?
PPR wise, no go. In standard leagues, draft this guy high, a lot higher.
I would be concerned if they drafted Blake Corum. Then I would knock him considerably down. I think that would take him out of the RB2 range and just strictly in the flex range. Right now, I'm glad you brought up prediction, because that's very important with these conversations. Because I'm listing him as a winner, because before last week, Gus Edwards was not going to be on anyone's radar. When it came to fantasy time, everyone knew he was not going to be back in Baltimore in the number one rushing offense in the league. He was probably just going to be a rotational running back somewhere. And so, as far as guys who made a giant leap from, just not being an impactful fantasy player at all to someone who's going to be on the radar, Gus Edwards is there. I have him, if he's the only guy there, as a RB2, possible high-end RB2, if he's the only guy there and that offense goes like I think it's going to go. If they do bring someone else in, to me, he's out of the RB2 range and more in that flex streamer type range. Massive hit if they bring in someone, especially someone like Blake Corum. But I think Gus Edwards, man, major winner last year, was almost off the radar, now firmly back in play. Gus Bus, baby.
I'm not as confident as you are, but I can definitely see the path where he can be relevant. My last winner is my favorite winner of the whole Russell Wilson Pittsburgh Steelers experience. That's wide receiver George Pickens. Okay. Last year averaged 14.6 points per game, 1,100 yards, with who at quarterback, with a combined touchdown total of about 12 passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
I don't really see the reason why he's not a top 10 wide receiver immediately. Last year, look, they got rid of his whole thing throughout his entire career. Deontay Johnson was there, eating targets, and lack of at least average quarterback play. Both things have been fixed. Deontay Johnson is out, and whatever Russell Wilson is now, he's better than what they had last year. And if Fields ever sees the field, no pun intended, this year, we saw what Fields can do to a number one wideout.
Yeah.
There is no scenario in my mind where Pickens isn't a top 10 wideout, a top 12 wideout.
Wow.
It's just for as talented as he is, and both of these guys, Russell Wilson resurrected the fantasy value of Courtland Sutton last year, made him productive. Fields resurrected the bust potential that DJ Moore was on track to be now he's DJ Moore. I think both these quarterbacks can elevate this guy to a level that is what I think he's going to be the guy that If Drake London doesn't work out, he will be in that realm. One of these two guys is gonna pop off. Yeah, these guys are great, and with the quarterback play, with the lack of passing options. Now I know they're bringing in Mike Williams. Not scared of Mike Williams. And even if they draft a wideout, you still have George Pickens here, who's now the alpha, who now has been in this league, has been on this team, and they know what he can do. I can't be more excited about him. Yes.
To that point, we've seen the Steelers move on from talented receivers. You think of Claypool, Martavis Bryant, Antonio Brown. They move off of guys that they don't believe in them. They've stuck with George Pickens. He's the last man standing there now. Yep. I think that means something. I think the Steelers, who are known for being amazing wide receiver evaluators, that's just something they're weirdly good at. I think it means something. He's the last guy here. That being said, I think him being for sure top 10 is insane.
Look, okay, hold on. With the 5 weeks last week, with 5 weeks last year, without Deontay Johnson, he was wide out 13. Okay, he had 12 points a game, and that was with Mason Rudolph. So the whole thing about I don't know if he's gonna be, which I get the lack of optimism around George Pickens, but we've seen now enough sample size where without Deontay Johnson, he's a top 13 wideout. You change out Mason Rudolph for either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. He can't jump 3 spots. He can't jump that into that next tier. It's just easy to see the path.
Yeah.
And you don't really want people, because George Pickens might be as unlikable as a wideout as people can possibly have in the NFL, but his talent is so apparent. And like you said, they've stuck with him through the drama last year and the year prior, where he was saying things, where he was not content with his role, whatever. They stuck it out, last man standing. I think this is paralysis by analysis, by overthinking. Is he really going to do? Is really going to see the targets? Is he really going to see the touchdowns? Yes, he will. He's a lonely guy. Russell Wilson will target him. Fields will target him. To the moon. George Pickens season. I am completely on board. This is my best bet for the sleeper candidates this year is George Pickens.
I'll buy it with Justin Fields. I am not buying that with Russell Wilson. I don't think
Russell Wilson was able to resurrect Courtside into a passable wideout 2, wideout 3 last year.
Exactly, but what I think that's one thing, but to do it with making George Pickens a top 10 receiver, I think that is a lot to ask of Russell Wilson. Maybe because I believe in George Pickens' talent, and George Pickens is definitely way more talented than Courtland Sutton, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Pickens requires a quarterback that's going to take some chances. A quarterback's going to push the ball. A quarterback's that's going to throw to him even when he's not obviously open. I don't know if Russell Wilson's that guy. But let's take it to the test here, okay? I'll mention a name. You tell me George Pickens or the guy I say. CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. I'll take CeeDee Lamb still. CeeDee Lamb.
If you're already thinking about it, that's not
no, because CeeDee Lamb is legitimately wideout 1 last year, so that's pretty tough.
Tyreek Hill.
Wideout 2 last year. I'm not taking with Tyreek Hill.
Jamar Chase. Oh my God!
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Justin Jefferson.
I look. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they have similar numbers or if they leave a little better. Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson. I'll take Russell Wilson. Sam Darnold or Justin Fields. I'll take Justin Fields.
Oh my God! Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I'll take it. And you'll
take who?
Look, is this PPR or is it standard?
PPR.
Oh, PPR. I would take. Amon-Ra. That's kind of his bag.
If you're in a standard league, stop it. Go get a PPR league.
Yeah, that's true.
AJ Brown. Oh my God! Hold on. I can't with you right now. I can't.
I'll take AJ Brown. But I think top 10 is kind of where I think he'd live because of what you said. The touchdowns are going to be 40 touchdowns passing out of Fields or out of Russell Wilson. So I think behind the tier of the Amon-Ra and AJ Brown, that's kind of where he'll live.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there.
Let's look at Fantasy Pros here. They're projected 7 through 10 because that's kind of where you want them to be. Okay? I'll take Garrett Wilson for sure. I don't know if you're there, but it's Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Chris Olave. I'll take him over Chris Olave because Derek Carr is
ass.
Yes. Devontae Adams, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he seems to put up numbers no matter what, but I could see that conversation. Puka Nacua, I don't know how long we're going to disrespect this man.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm not ever gonna say anything negative about him. I'm gonna do like a roundabout way of getting. I'm not ever gonna say Pickens is not good. I'm just gonna make it a roundabout way where I can say where you gotta get to the conclusion that he's not as good. But
What's
he's very
crazy
good.
is that if Marvin Harrison has the year Puka Nacua had, he's gonna be like the number one receiver. But since his name's Puka Nacua, he's some Hawaiian guy, who doesn't look the part. He's from BYU or Penn State or one of those schools.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's at the bottom end here.
I tell you what, this is not even an option for you. I'm taking him over Garrett Wilson easily.
Who?
George Pickens.
Okay, well, disagree. Disagree. We'll have to put that on the board. But
this is my bet. This is Pickens and Drake London. Those are my. You could, if you're in the thought process of waiting for a wideout. I don't know why you would do that, but waiting for a wideout, Pickens and Drake London, these kind of guys this year who are in this realm of upside, quarterback upgrades and everything, you can easily get nice 1-2 options here with George Pickens and Drake London.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm on board. And Pickens, by the way, 22 years old. Oh, sorry, 23 years old.
Yeah. Man, like I said, with Fields, I'll buy it. Russ, it's hard to sell to me, but I mean, that's fantasy football, man. You pick your guys, and once you believe in them, you just ride. That's the fun of it. I tell you what, you'll have way more fun going just believing in Pickens than going chalk here and going and drafting Chris Olave, just because all the boards
or
are
like
tell you
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Go.
This is how you should play fantasy football.
You're like, oh, I gotta draft Deontay.
Yep. This is how you should play fantasy football. Go get the guys you believe in. Go get the guys you're gonna ride for, like Angel, putting Pickens up against fucking Justin Jefferson. But just go get it's what you're gonna have way more fun.
I wasn't. I was saying it'd be
you said don't be surprised they have similar numbers.
Look, because Sam Darnold is what we call in the business ass.
Is there a difference between Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson?
Yes, a big difference. One's a starter and one's a backup.
Yeah,
that's the difference
because of where they are. But yeah, I mean, this is fantasy football, man. These conversations are so much fun. I can't wait to have a room full of guys because there's gonna be 5 or 6 guys and 5 or 6 opinions, and it's gonna get heated.
yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, we're gonna have like we did last year, a live draft of our league.
Yes,
but this year, hopefully, we'll get AJ Gabing and Terrell on board so we can do that. Last year, that was a pretty successful video for us. Was the live draft because
they loved it.
Fantasy football. Once that heats up, right now it's in a period where it's kind of hibernating. Once it heats up, it takes over the fantasy community, the football community, more than people like to admit. I have friends who don't watch any football regularly. I only started because of fantasy football.
Yeah,
and now it's that's just how it is. So, and I like what we said on the last show. We're not gonna just skip over this big aspect of football. It's fun. It's entertaining, and it's something else to do on a Sunday besides watch your team, watch Drake London or Kyle Pitts or whatever you want to watch. Yeah, it's a fun time.
Those are our fantasy winners and losers after a week of free agency. I love it. There's obviously names we left off. If you know someone that is a winner or loser for you, feel free to put that in the chat. We'd love to know it. The more information, the better. That's our show for today, episode 105 in the books. Real quick, if you haven't gone on Tiny Desk, NPR, YouTube, and watch the new Justin Timberlake session, go watch that. That is fantastic. I wanted to plug that real quick. Catch us on episode number 106 on Wednesday, back in Studio 604 with the guys. And we're going to be looking all at the free agency fallout, the Justin Fields trade, all these big faces and new places. It's going to be so much fun. We'll catch you on Wednesday. See ya.